Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside with me today. If you're a regular follower of the channel, you know that I love limb-driven rest, and particularly hamskis, which I have here, the Hamski Trinity on my Elite Cure, and I have the Hybrid Hunter on my Result back here for the target scene. But one thing I don't like about in particular the Hybrid, comes to that football clamp, and I don't really like football clamps for rests or for the QAD or the Hamski rest, and I don't like them just in general. I just don't want to mess with a Phillips head screw and a nut in the woods. I'd much rather have to deal with like the tent stake type idea that's on the Trinity. I'll throw a picture up here on the screen. I kind of did a DIY version of that little metal thing with an O-ring for my Hybrid Hunter as well, but I would much rather have what I currently have. I posted this on Instagram not too long ago, and a whole bunch of people commented that Knights of the Apex, AJ, who I didn't even know that channel existed, kudos to him, he's making some great content. He literally did a video on this already, so I will link his video down below if mine is not descriptive enough for you. But I just want to share this with you because you can not only do this on limb drivens, you can also do this on cable activated and cable actuated, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. But first, let's show you how to make this knot here. I'll get the camera zoomed in, and yeah, it's just a hot coffee kind of morning. Knots and coffee. What a way to go. All right, so hopefully this comes out on camera okay. Here's my actual cord. I'm going to leave it attached so you can see what I want to be ending up at here when I'm finally done. I have this other piece of Dloop cord. So this is not the original Hamski cord. This is actually Dloop cord, which is a much sturdier, much stiffer cord. This is the same stuff, just in a different color orange, so hopefully you can identify. And I'll put this Dloop material down in the description below. I got a 100-foot spool of it for like 10 bucks, which is enough to last me a lifetime of doing rest cords. As well, D-loops, and even this here with the Hamski. So basically, you can run it either this way or this way. We're going to pretend this is through the spring here so you can kind of see the polished off result. Basically, we're going to make a PRUSIK knot, or it's basically just a doubled up or tripled up D-loop knot. So if you're familiar with making D-loop knots, that's all this is. It's a constricting knot. And you'll notice here on this one, you can see that the main line here continues up this way on the right hand side, and you see how it's got that kink in, it's got that bend. That means we have some load transfer into the knot, which is the same thing on a PRUSIK knot on your lifeline, or if you're a saddle hunter on your tether, that sort of stuff. This is now on the left side, is starting to take over about, I'd say probably about 70% of the load. Now this knot can slide, right? So I can kind of loosen this up here and give it a good push, and it will slide and allow the plunger of my rest to be nice and loose. All I then have to do is then continue to feed the cord down through over here, add a little bit of spring tension, pull up into these knot pieces, and then that has not moved in my testing so far and working with it. It has not gone anywhere, and so you can see I could really get it to really change over and really add that bend, that extra kink in there, which really means that that load transfer is here on the left hand side, which is what I want. I'm going to start with the tag in on my side. I'm going to go on the top part of the cord. I'm going to make the top knot first, then I'm going to make the bottom knot. As you can see here, that's what I did here. I have the top knot portion, the bottom knot, and the tag in comes out on the bottom side. So I'm going to go around the back, and I'm going to come through like I'm going to make an overhand knot, and I'm going to come back through again. And you can do this 2 or 3 times. I found that 2 is enough with this thicker material. The thinner material, though, with that comes naturally with the Hamski cord. That's it true if you're using the Hybrid Hunter or the Trinity, that you want to use 3 wraps. But 2 wraps is sufficient enough here. You know what, let's just go 3 just for the sake of the video. And you see here now I have all of these wraps stacked up on the top side. I know it's hard to see knot videos. It's never fun. But basically, like I said, I'm making a PRUSIK, so I want to make sure that they don't overlap onto each other. Add a little bit of tension here. So I've got 3 knots that have pulled through. Now I'm going to come over top. I'm going to come over top here, and I'm going to go around on the backside, just like if I'm making a D-loop here. So I've gone through and looped it through 3 times. Now I'm going to come over top. I'm going to go around the back. So now I'm here, and now I'm going to start wrapping back up towards the other portion of the knot. And you can leave this tag in as long as you'd like. You're going to want a little bit of tag in, just like I have over here to pull on. AJ from Knights of the Apex, he puts a knot on there to get a good pull. So you can just go back. Now I'm going to go back through 3 times, and I'm working back towards the center. So there's 1. I know knot videos are hard to see. I know. 2 and 3. So now I have 3 coiled up top, and I have 3 coiled up bottom. Now I'm going to push them together And you see here, before I cinch anything, we've now made this PRUSIK, right? There's the tag ends of the PRUSIK knot. But instead of being its own separate PRUSIK loop and having the main line, this is now actually the main line and the PRUSIK knot all at once. So again, I want to kind of pull this here. This is the tricky part here, is getting this knot kind of seated for the first time. You're gonna have to really work it, kind of pushing it up into itself, really dressing it up, pulling on your tag ends over here. This is a good beefy knot right here. Beautiful. Really pulling on this. And now, as you can see, if I really crank down on that sucker, it's not moving anywhere. So now I could pull through. And now I don't have the spring tension up here. But again, now here's my kink. This is the kink, you can barely see, but here's the main line here on the left-hand side. So this is the opposite direction from this. Now it doesn't matter which way you go. The kink is here. Now the load transfer comes up into this side. So I can now, and I don't have any spring tension here, and this is obviously just attached to the limb and the shelf of the bow here. But you can see now the main line's on the left, see that kink in there? And then this is the line that is now receiving the tension. This is the meat and potatoes of the PRUSIK knot here. So we've now alleviated, because of that kink, we've now alleviated the pressure out of the main line, and it's now going into this side, which means this knot will continue to bite down onto itself. Now to loosen it, I'm just going to kind of work it a little bit, and then I can loosen it, and of course that would be flopping around with the spring, just like over on this side. To tighten it, just pull down on the main line until I get that kink in there, and I can even dress it up by adding that kink even further. And there we go. So of course the beauty of this system is that there's no metal here, which is really nice, but also there's no nuts and bolts. There's none of those little metal things with a rubber O-ring. We all know how rubber O-rings go on broadheads. Definitely don't want them on the rest timing cord. Everything's nice and simple, and all you have to do is just keep a little coiled up piece of Dloop material in your, your case, in your pack, wherever, and you can easily do this and replace it at a moment's notice. Now let me show you how I would do this if I wanted to use it with a cable activated, and why I'd want to use it with a cable activated real quick. So let's actually get a cable activated rest up here, and let's talk about that. All right, here we have a very traditional setup for a cable activated rest. This is a QAD HDX here. It is in the upright position, right? And so here would be your timing cord, obviously, right? So you'd have this up at full cock here. You'd have it tied into the cable. If there was center serving, which there isn't here, you'd actually have to tie it in here. If there's center serving, I'd like to just stick a knot through on the back side and let that center serving that's put under tension at the factory. But here I actually had to tie it onto itself and then tie some knots here. This is nice. This isn't going to move anywhere. This is my wife's bow, this beautiful snow camo Elite Spirit here, and it has worked really well for her. However, in the event that she was to take this out hunting and this gets cut or this gets pulled or this knot breaks or something really squirrely happens, I don't have a way to fix it and fix it quickly. All right, so how's a PRUSIK knot going to save your bacon here if you have a cable activated or cable actuated rest? It all comes down here with this down cable. Most of the time, if you get a good string builder and they know what they're doing, this top inch to 2.5 inches, depending on the manufacturer, will be served to allow for cable clearance as it would run through the cam track down here on the bottom to accommodate a litany of draw lengths. It's great if you have a normal draw length, like 28, 29 inches, and even me at 31, you can have a normal amount of serving still stuck that won't roll into the cam down here, and you can use a PRUSIK knot. And what we can do is we can tie a overly thick PRUSIK knot. I'm talking 5 or 6 wraps instead of the normal 3 or 4 that you might use on a lineman's belt or a tether. 5, 6, 7 wraps here, and that will then be an adjustable cord that we can tie into a broken or cut or this knot gets slippy or something just in a pinch. I'm not saying that this is a good idea to run it 24/7, 365 this way, but if you're in the middle of the season, you're out west on an elk trip, this thing weighs ounces, it's easy to put in your pack, it's easy to fix, it's easy to rectify, and at least save your bacon until you get into the shop and get this done back properly. So let's say that this gets cut, right here or breaks off at this knot. Very rarely will it break inside the rest, and if it breaks inside the rest, you're going to actually need some tools in order to fix it anyway, and this trick won't save your bacon anyway. This overall piece is probably about 2.5 feet long, plenty of length, easy to keep in my pack for easy, quick repairs. I'm going to make a PRUSIK knot, like I said here, on this down cable, and I'm going to put the knot on the upside that would come up here to the rest. So I'm going to make this nice and wide here. I'm going to go 5 wraps. You can go 6. 1. If you don't know how to make a PRUSIK knot, basically all you do is wrap one end around inside the other, just like this, and your knots will go from the top to the inside, or from the bottom up to the inside. So there's 2 wraps, 3 wraps, 4 wraps, 5 wraps. And this is going to get, because this Dloop material is not meant to be in PRUSIK form, this is going to get a little clunky looking. So bear with me here. Your PRUSIK, you want the cord to go on the outside. I'll find a good PRUSIK video online somewhere, and I will post it in the description below. All right, so there's the bottom. You see how the bottom is nice and clean. The wrap comes from the bottom up into the middle, and that's where I want the middle to come out. You see how this one is still not clean yet, so we'll kind of pinch off that bottom one so it doesn't unravel itself. And there we have PRUSIK that has got 5 wraps, both top and bottom. Now, you wouldn't do this many actual wraps on a real PRUSIK on a lineman's belt because it couldn't move. Well, that's what we want. We want this thing to bind and not move. Now, I'm no He-Man here, but that has to be a solid 10, 15, 20 pounds of force pressure there, and that is not going to move. It would probably move if I put it up on the string, so you have to have it on the serving. You have to have that friction. And like I said, you usually get about 1 inch to 2 inches, if not more, if your draw length's even shorter, 25, 26, 27 inches. You'll have plenty of serving here to play with. So now that you have this PRUSIK here, you get it in to bite in hard. Just give it a good tug here. Now, with your broken cord, you can tie in just a simple overhand knot. You could tie into the loop. Heck, you could even turn this into its own other PRUSIK up top and slide it through. You can do whatever you want up top here. But the whole purpose now is that you have the ability, I've just looped this up here just so it's out of the way. You have the ability now to time the rest by, loosening up your PRUSIK. All you have to do is work it. Just kind of loosen your coils. You can slide it down, you can slide it up, right? You get all of that play here in this cord. And with a QAD, you get witness marks back here. So you can draw the bow, see if it's meeting the witness marks, and it'll fire out of the way. If you shoot a ripcord, it'll just sear over once it actually sears to the appropriate place. If you're shooting a cable activated, not just cable actuated, this would be an example of cable actuated. It can stay up and then get pulled on all you want until you actually fire it. That's cable actuated. Same thing with a ripcord. But if you run a cable activated, you could watch the launcher arm come all the way up through the entire draw cycle. Anything you want. And as long as you have this amount of play, I mean, you don't need more than about ½ inch. ½ inch of play like this is plenty, because you can make this shorter or longer up here by cutting it, whatever you need to do. This is just a beautiful way to just in a pinch. I would not recommend this. I have a feeling that eventually your PRUSIK down here would start to slip, although I'll tell you what, that is one stable knot with 5, 6. I mean, if you went 7 wraps, it would never probably move. But I wouldn't recommend this as a full-time 24/7 thing on your bow. But in a pinch, middle of season, you're out on that out west trip, so on and so forth, this right here will absolutely save your bacon and allow you to keep in the woods and keep hunting. Well, anyway, that's all for this video. If you have any questions about running PRUSIKs for limb drivers, cable activated or actuated rests, or anything else that pertains to the sport of archery, follow the links in the description below. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, send me an email, or leave a comment for everybody to see and learn from here on YouTube. Hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation, and we'll get to see you next time.